Hi, everybody. It's 10:05 now, so I think we're going to get started. It looks like we've got plenty of participants in the webinar already. I'm sure a few more will join us in the next few minutes. I'm Christy Ceccarosi. I'm the CEO at Common Media. We are the web vendor for YU.edu University, which means that we do regular maintenance and ongoing work for the .edu website. We are here today to cover a lot of ground. Some of this might be new to you, some familiar. We don't expect you all to absorb everything we're saying in full from this presentation. So we will have documents available from this webinar afterwards, as well as a recording from this session. And we're always available via WYSIWYG in the CPA office for further questions and comments. During the presentation, a couple of rules. First of all, everybody is already muted so that we, because of the number of people participating here, we've decided to just default that function, turn it off so that we can't hear you. You can hear us, but you can use the chat feature, as some of you already have, to submit questions as we go. We'll be collecting those. If it seems like a good time to stop, we will just answer that question as we go. But we did build in breaks during the end of each of the three sections we're covering here for everybody to just chime in with any questions. And then at the end of the presentation, we've also left a good chunk of time for Q&A. So feel free to submit your question at any time via the chat. Please use the chat and not the Q&A function. That way we'll all see the question as it pops up. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Tom Urell. He is the design director here at Common Media. He has been very involved in several projects at YU, including the redesign of the school landing page template that some of you have seen on the CATS pages, the homepage. He's very familiar with the ins and outs of this Drupal site. In the room, we also have a couple other folks who have worked on the site, so if there's a question that comes up that is beyond Tom's purview, I think together our team can answer it. So take it away, Tom.
Hey, everybody. So a quick overview of what we're going to be looking at today to get going. First, we're going to look at how you get started with Drupal, so logging in and making sure your account is set up properly. We'll turn then to look at sort of overall editing techniques and specifically the WYSIWYG editor, so the bulk of the editing that you'll be doing on the site, some specific strategies within that tool set, so uploading images and YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. We'll then take a quick walk through the page types and the different templates that are available on the site, just to sort of give an overview and introduce some of these if you haven't encountered them yet. We'll wrap up with a handful of sort of overall best practice, common question kind of things, and then we do hope to leave some time at the end to make sure we can capture any other questions. Yes, we'll make these slides available for download after the call here, and so we'll make sure that this, if anything needs to get updated, we'll put that in, and then we'll share these around so that everybody can reference these as we go after. We already talked about this, but I wanted to show, if you haven't found it yet, the chat feature is in the toolbar, so you can open that up to submit questions as we go. Let's get right into it. So the first question that some folks will have if they've never seen this before, if this is your first time, is what is Drupal? What are we talking about here? Drupal is the software that runs the website. So YU.edu is a Drupal website. It's the content management system. So when you log into the website, you're using Drupal and putting content into Drupal. So we're going to talk about it in that context. The site is YU.edu and Drupal is the software. A couple of housekeeping notes about Drupal. What web browser you use is really important. So you're going to want to make sure you're using a modern browser. We consider Chrome, Firefox, and Edge to be modern. Basically, don't use Internet Explorer. It might work sometimes. It might fail other times. And so it's easier if you just get set up on a more modern browser. Also, Drupal is going to work better on a computer than on a mobile device. So a laptop or desktop computer is going to be a better experience as you're editing. So the software will work on your phone, but if you know you need to make some website edits, it's better to get set up on a computer to put those in. The way you find your way into Drupal is pretty straightforward. There's a site you can bookmark, YU.edu/user will get you to the login window every time. Or if you're on the site, you can scroll down to the bottom, and in the bottom corner in the footer, you'll see the editor login link, and that takes you to the same page. So either of those are valid options to get you to the login. Once you've navigated to that page, you're going to see a login form, so your username and password can get you in right here. If you know them, key them in and you'll go right into the back end of the website. If you do not know your credentials, you can hit the reset your password link, and that'll prompt you to put in your YU.edu address, and you can go from there. If you don't know if you have an account, you try these and it doesn't work, or if you have problems logging in, you can contact the CPA office and they'll help you get your account sorted out. Once you've logged in, you're going to see the Drupal toolbar across the top of the site. So that's that black bar that runs across the top of this screen capture here. It's going to show you your username. So in this case, we've got a user called Test CMI Editor logged in. Once you've logged in, you'll see your name here. You have a couple of quick commands available from this view. Here you can edit your profile, so that's where you would go to change your password. And you can also use the logout link to end your session once you've finished making your edits here. It's worth mentioning, this toolbar will stay with you the whole time you're logged in. So that's the best way to know whether you're logged in or not to the site, is look for this toolbar across the top of the site. Once you've logged in, two ways to find the page that you need to edit. The easiest way, and the way we recommend doing, is go in through the front end of the site. So navigate to the page that you want to make edits to. And then once you've logged in and you've navigated to this page, you're going to see a toolbar, usually below the page title like it is here, that has View, New Draft, and Revisions options. You've landed on the page in the View option. You can select New Draft here to open up the edit window for this. We recommend this option because it's a good way to make sure you've got the right page. There are a number of pages in this site that have similar names, so it's a surefire way to make sure you make your edits in the right place. The other way to go is through the back end of the site. So in that top toolbar, you can select Manage and then Content. That takes you to this content overview for the full site. This is where you're going to see every page in the site. So there are thousands of pages available here. You can use the content type and title filters here to search for specific pages this way. We would really only recommend this method when you know you have a number of pages to edit and you know exactly which ones they are. You can, find things in batches more quickly this way. It's a good time to take a quick overview because we've just introduced this idea of content types. Drupal thinks about page templates as content types, so that's how it's going to label them. You're going to see pages using these different types of templates as you go through the page, as you go through your editing on the site. It doesn't matter too much which template the page uses when you find the right page to edit. It just means that when you go to make your edits, it'll appear a little differently. It's also a good note to add that as an editor, you can only edit existing pages and find the places you need to make your changes on existing pages. If you need to have a new page added to the site, or if you need to have a change made to a site menu, you need to contact the CPA office because they're the folks who will add a new page. There's a Request a Project button on their site there where you can get started with adding a new page to the site. All right, before we go into some specific editing techniques, we want to just run through some overall best practices. I said already, but worth repeating, it's a good idea to know where you're getting started before you go in. So what I'll often recommend for folks is have the windows open in separate tabs that you need to make your edits in, then log in and refresh those pages. You'll see the toolbar across the top, and you can get right in to edit the page directly that way. When you're writing for the web, you want to keep your content short and make sure it's structured really well. So you want to break things into bullets and headlines. This helps people digest and understand the content you're presenting. It's also easier to format your text into smaller pieces rather than having big long blocks and paragraphs of content. Once you have your copy written, you want to have it prepared in a separate document so you can copy it straight into Drupal. This will make your life easier when adding styles to the text and also allow you to make sure that you've checked your work against a separate reference. If you prepare your copy in another document like Notepad or a Google Doc, it makes the copy and paste process that much easier. Similarly, you're going to want to have your images prepared. So save any new images that you're going to want to upload to the site into a folder or onto your desktop directly. That way you don't have to go hunting around the internet to find the images that you're going to upload to the site, and they're ready to go once you log in. Finally, we'll come back to this idea, but on links within the YU.edu site, you can use what we call relative links. And this means you don't have to enter the full name of the website. So specifically for this YU.edu site, if you wanted to link to the About page, for instance, you can link to just /about, and you don't need to put in the full YU.edu address. This helps Drupal know that you want to link directly to this page rather than linking to some other website. If you're linking off the website, you still obviously need to use that full address. Before we get into specific techniques, does anybody have any questions about this setup process? I don't see any, so I think we can just keep rolling here. So Drupal's going to present two types of content for you to edit. The first are things that are in fields. So this is text where you see a field that just allows you to key in text directly. That's pretty straightforward, and you'll figure that out pretty quickly. What's more complex is what we call the WYSIWYG editor. So WYSIWYG is what you see is what you get. And this is where you've logged into the site, you've hit edit on a page, and now you see one of these edit windows. These are often called body because they are the main content section on the site, but you'll also see these on sidebars and in other regions around the site. This is where you have a full set of styling tools, so you can do lots and lots of different editing operations here. You can put in text and style it, but you can also attach files like PDFs and docs. You can add images, you can embed YouTube videos. So we're going to walk through some of these specific strategies as you would use them when you're making edits to the site. The first step, and a really core idea to making edits to a site like this, is that you want to paste in your copy as plain text. And what that means is when you take copy text that you're bringing in from somewhere else, we recommend using Notepad or a Google Doc or something like that, but anywhere you're copying from, you want to use the paste without formatting command on your computer. So that means on Windows, it's Control-Shift-V. On Mac, that's Command-Shift-V. So what you'll do is you'll copy in your text. Drupal will not see any of the formatting that you might have had, and then you would go and add the formatting with Drupal styles. So you would then use bold and bullet styles and things within Drupal, and that will help you make sure that the site uses the correct fonts and styles that are built into the Drupal website. The main text styles that are available to you within Drupal are all available in that Format menu in the top left corner of the editor. So what you'll do is once you've pasted your text into the body window, then you can select text and apply styles with that dropdown. So you can obviously set things as normal text for the body paragraph section. You can use the bullet, bold, and italic controls, the standard text formatting things. But you can also use the heading options that are available here. And this is a good place to start to think in terms of hierarchy for how you use these headers. So we recommend using the H2, the heading 2 style as the top level for your text, and then going below that with your subsection. So you would put an H3 as the next subsection, and if you even had a third one, an H4. This allows folks who are scanning quickly to see the text in a structured way. It also allows any screen readers or other technologies to know that you've structured the text so that they can provide that hierarchy to folks who are using those technologies. We also ask that even though it's available, you don't use the heading 1 here. We try to only keep one heading 1 on any page, and in this case, the page title uses the H1 style. A quick and really, really specific note about line breaks, because there are 2 options here. You can use a hard return, which is just hitting the enter or return key, and that'll give you a full line break with some extra space to break up paragraphs. You can also use a soft return, and that's where you hold shift and hit return, and that gives you a line with no spacing above it. This is a helpful thing when you have like structured lists or bullets and you need to add breaks that don't have a full paragraph break with the extra space, but it's how you would add a new line and just provide a clean line break. You're probably going to want to add links within the text that you're applying. So Drupal makes this really easy and gives you lots of controls for this. So you'll want to start by selecting the text that you want to link and then find this little chain link icon. That'll open this link dialog box. What you'll see when you open this up is the display text. So the text that's going to show on the front end. It's going to allow you to select your link type. URL lets you link to other pages. And then you can paste in the URL that you want to direct people to here. This is another example of where you would use one of these relative links. So if you wanted to link to the admissions page /admissions instead of the full address here. Obviously, if you're linking off the website, as this link shows, you leave the full address in place here. As you're setting your link, you can switch over to the Target tab in that dialog to set the Open in a New Window command if you're interested in doing that. It'll default to Not Set here, which just keeps somebody in the same window. But say you're linking off-site and you want them to keep the YU site open in their browser, this is where you would switch over and add that new window command for your link. You would hit OK here to complete it. Another common technique that you're going to want to use is adding images within this WYSIWYG section. So say you have a big, long page you're working on and you want to break it up by adding some images within it. The first thing you want to do is click into the window where you're going to want your image to appear and leave your cursor there. So you would just click, say on this line break here if you wanted to add it between these 2 lines. And then within this toolbar, hit the E button. That means embed, and it's going to open up the file browser. So the first thing you're going to see when you click this is an upload screen, so you can upload your new image, and then you've got that ready to go on the site. So here's this image uploader dialog box. So now you've added your image, and you can switch over. There's another tab here called Files Listing. You'll select this file that you want to upload. You'll see it down here where Drupal tells you it's ready to go. Hit Use Selected, and it will know that that's the image you want to put. If it happens that you're adding an image that's already in Drupal, you know that it's already in the system, you can skip the upload and go directly to the files listing and find that file within the system here. Once you've hit Use Selected, you will see this dialog box. This is the final step to putting an image in the WYSIWYG. These are the file properties. So what you're going to do is you're going to apply alternate text within this dialog. So this is important because screen readers need to know what the image is that you've uploaded. If you're using an image that's purely decorative and doesn't actually add useful or structural information to the page, you can just put empty quotes here. So you can just put an open and close quotation mark, and that tells the screen reader, skip over this. It doesn't have anything critical to the page. But if the image contains content that non-sighted users or others who would be using a screen reader will need to know, you can use the alt text field here to put in the description so those folks see what it is. You can also in this place add a caption. This is totally optional, but you're welcome to use this for your image and then set the image on the page by hitting embed and complete the process. Another feature that you will probably find yourself wanting to use is to attach a file within the WYSIWYG editor. You can start this process by selecting the text that you want to link to this file. So if you want to give a syllabus link, say, and you have the PDF available, you can say download the syllabus here. Select that text and click the paperclip icon for an attachment. This paperclip feature will support PDF, Word, and PowerPoint files, so you can put any of those 3 kinds of files up. The text that you've selected will then take the link to that file, and users will be able to download that directly. If you have not selected any text and you click this and upload a file, it will use the name of the file. So just be aware that if you need to have a separate name for the file before you upload it, make sure the text is selected there. Another fun piece that you can add within a WYSIWYG editor is a YouTube video, and this is done by using the YouTube embed code itself. So what you're going to need to do for this is a 2-step process. The first thing you do is you go to the YouTube page where the video is hosted, and you open up the Share tab, go into Embed, and copy the embed code. This little video loop is showing exactly how that works because it's a 3-click process. Once you have that code copied, go back to the WYSIWYG editor where you want this to be and click the Source button. This is going to reveal the source code for this section, and don't be afraid, you're not going to be editing this, you're just pasting in the iframe code here that you got from YouTube. So what you'll do then is find the section where you want the video to appear, click your cursor in and paste, and you'll drop in this iframe code that YouTube provided you. Click back out of this editor view with the source button, and you'll go back to the regular WYSIWYG editor, and you'll see the video embed directly there. The final step that we want to highlight in this section is how you publish and save your work, because Drupal's not going to know that you've made changes until you commit one of these commands. I'm going to say this like 3 times, because if you navigate away while you've made changes and you don't do one of these, Drupal will not save your work. So the most important thing here is to go down and select one of these 2 options. So you can save here and create a new draft of the work that you've done. This does not publish your work, but it does save it within the system. Or if you know you're ready to go, here's where you can save and publish your work. This is down at the bottom of every page type. So here you see that this sits directly below one of these types of content regions, but on any page where you're doing your work, you'll scroll to the bottom and find this command there. All right, before we go into page types, let's go through some of the questions that have come in. The top one was, what are we authorized to make edits to, what pages, and is there an approval process? So Drupal does not enforce any permissions for you with a handful of exceptions, so you'll have access to edit pretty much any page that you need to on the site. This is left open-ended so that you can set up approval processes within your department, since you have control over the pages that you need to make edits to. So what you'll be able to do then is find the page you need to make edits to, and again, this is one of these reasons why it's good to have your copy ready to go in a separate document, so that when you make the edits, you already have the content approved. The next question that came in is, can you use 2 different heading styles with a block of text that uses soft line breaks? You probably can. We would recommend making sure that you use hard line breaks when you introduce a new heading style. This helps the front end style the text using the spacing that's built into the system. So, you know, with these styles, there's often an element of sort of try and see what works. So you'll get the hang of it once you've made edits over a number of different types of pages. But basically what you want to do is use a heading style consistently within the same set of hierarchy. So if you have a heading 2 above a intro paragraph, say, and then you have a series of bullets, you could use a heading 3 for each of the start of your bullets, but we would recommend using a hard return to separate each of those bullets. Looks like another question just came in. For an image in the directory, is there a way to search for a specific image, especially if you have thousands? Yes, there is, but it's only going to find them. I'm going to show that again so we can just take a quick look at that. It's only going to know that if you know the title of the image file that you're looking for, because Drupal is going to search on the file names that's available. So if you do happen to know the name of the file, yes, you can search for it here and you'll be able to find it. But that's the only field you're going to have access to for searching. Any other last questions before we go into page types?
Worth adding here that, everybody on this call is an editor. That is the role that you have in Drupal. And so when Tom says that you have permission to edit all of the pages, that is connected to your role in Drupal. Other roles with different sets of permission exist in Drupal and can be added or changed. That's something that we have the capacity to work with the CPA office to do. And if you are managing a team or you are in the system and making a revision and it causes a problem, or if there's an edit that we're trying to track down the origins of, that is something that we can also peek inside the system and see. So that's just worth noting if that comes up as a question for anybody.
All right, so Drupal's going to have a number of page types, and what this means is that the way content is structured in the edit form, so when you find the page you want to edit and hit new draft, you're going to see a number of different types of content structure. So we've talked now about what the WYSIWYG editor looks like. You'll see those in a couple of places. You'll see fields for specific types of content. We're going to take a look at sort of how some of those structures are set up now so that you know sort of what to anticipate or don't get too surprised when something looks pretty different on a different type of page. Drupal uses these page types as the sort of core for the site. We'll take a look at where these are in use now and sort of what the context would be that you would come upon these. The first and most common on the site is the basic page. This is the bulk of the website. There are literally thousands of these on the site, and these present a pretty simple structure. The main content region is the body. That's that WYSIWYG editor we were looking at. There's also an optional right sidebar section. So what happens on that sidebar is you can add individual content regions and put more content along the right sidebar. You know, our emphasis is on this main content region here because that is the sort of core part of the site. So the sidebar should really be used for truly second-level information. To add things to that right sidebar region, once you've gone into the editor for the basic page, is in this little drop-down of Add to Right Sidebar options. You have a few different types of sidebar options here. You can add a body section that adds a WYSIWYG editor directly into the sidebar. So obviously you have a narrower column width to work with, but you still have the full set of styles available. You can add an info section, which does not give you the full set of styles, but instead gives you the gray background and a style title for that section. So this would be more for practical information. These get used around the site for key dates and timeline information. There's also a quick links option available. This is where you would add links to other pages on the site. If you want to add sort of links to other pages within the same program, say, or within your department, this is the section you would use to do that. I just saw a question come in here. How do you create the red box that's shown on the right sidebar here? These use a specific style from this page. So if you were to click into the source on this, you would see what this style is that's available there. So this is sort of level 2 type stuff, but if you can't find this on your own, you know, certainly you can reach out to the CPA office and ask. They'll help you figure out how to get those in. The next content type that you're going to encounter are the landing pages. These sit at the top level of each of the navigation items on the main site here, and these really provide a gateway into other site content. So they don't contain a lot of content of their own, but rather open up pathways for users to follow. These contain a slideshow, a full width image across the top, the social bar that has links out to other social services, and then these promo tiles for each of these elements. When you log in to edit one of these pages, what you'll see in here looks pretty different because these are not WYSIWYG pages, but they each contain an edit function for each section. So what you can do is open up this slideshow region with this edit command here, and you'll be able to change the photo and add buttons or headline text within this section. Similarly, you could edit the social bar within this guy, and then as you work down the page, there are the controls for the promos. The school landing page is a new template to the site, so this has just been added so far for the CAT school, but as Rieli has now come online and soon the Furkhoff school will also be using one of these. This presents another set of content regions, including this full width header region, a set of icon links to provide calls to action for folks to get engaged. There's a filter for specific programs in search, school feature region that allows for school intro content, and then some other regions to provide specific content for this school. To go along with the new school landing page and in use on the same school sites are the program page. So this is specifically set up to hold information around individual programs within a school. And what that means is you get the same controls, a WYSIWYG editor for the main program content, and a sidebar, in this case, that shows up on the left-hand side. But you also get a couple of other tools in this case. There's a set of program details that allows you to specify the sort of core information about this program, and some open and close accordion regions so you can structure your text with a little bit more fine-grained control. Once you've logged in to see what controls would look like here, you'll see some of these fielded regions. So what this would be in the program details case is controls to say which school this is affiliated with, whether it's a graduate or undergraduate program, and then the actual details that go along with each program specifically. The subpage similarly is designed to sit with the program page, and so it has the same basic structure as the basic page in that it uses a WYSIWYG editor and sidebar, but in this case it presents a menu specifically for these programs. So what you can do is use these to provide supporting information for a program page. There are a couple of other features that you'll encounter as you go, but we should stop at this point and take any questions that you have about specific page templates. Looks like the first one is, can we as basic editors create a new landing template for our school's landing page? No, you cannot create the template on your own, but the CPA office I know is working to make a migration plan for each of the schools. So that I think is going to come up probably in the next couple of months around how to set up these new templates for each of the remaining schools. The CAT school was done as the sort of prototype phase to get this started, and we're working our way now with the CPA folks to get the other schools set up with these. Other questions about the page templates? Excellent. How do you add sliding pictures? That's a great question. So on the landing page in this slideshow region, when you go to the back end to control this, what you see is this slideshow section. And right now on this page, so on the undergraduate admissions page specifically, there's just one photo, so it doesn't do any sliding because there's nothing else for it to slide to. But what would happen if you added another slideshow item, so if you were to click this Add Landing Page Slideshow button and put another photo in here, is Drupal will automatically add the slider controls to this so that it knows that there's a slideshow in place here. So this is one of those areas where, depending on what content you give it, Drupal will style the content differently because with only one photo, it does not advance, but with another photo added in this place, it would add the slideshow functionality. Someone's asked, what are the dimensions for the slideshow photo? I don't know off the top of my head what the dimensions are. If you open up the add landing page, there could be helper text in there to tell you what they are. If that doesn't come up, feel free to shoot a question over and we can figure out specifically what those dimensions are.
Yeah, we can pull that info together before the end of the session.
Any other questions on these templates? Okay. A handful more things that are sort of overall ideas or questions or things that have come up as we've been putting this together. This is the last time I promise that I'll say this, but when you paste into a WYSIWYG editor, we want to ask everybody to make sure that you paste without formatting. The backstory here is that if you paste from Microsoft Word specifically, or Google Docs or something else that has formatting, Drupal will often pick up a lot of the cues that come in with that, and it can make for messy styling that you didn't anticipate. This is why Drupal provides all the styling options, and this is why we ask that you use the clean paste command. In general, when you upload an image to the site, you can use the full size that you have available and then let Drupal resize the image to fit the needed use case. Drupal is set up in a way that when you upload an image, it will present it best for whatever that scenario is. You probably know that as you use the site on different size devices, it will often have to make different size images. So as you go from a desktop to a mobile phone, the images will get smaller. Drupal will handle that. So the best way to make your images look good is use a big image when you get started, and then Drupal will go from there. We ask that folks don't use tables within their content, their WYSIWYG editing. Tables are really, really tricky to get styled properly on mobile, and so they will often break other formatting. If it's absolutely necessary that you have content structured that way, you can usually do the same kind of information in a list format, which will work much better for devices other than just a big desktop computer. We'll also ask that you don't change page URLs while you're doing your work. This is partly a practical matter because you don't know what other pages on the site link to the page you're working on, and they might, by changing the URL, you might end up with a broken link elsewhere on the site. It's also just a good idea for web practices to leave existing pages at their current URL. So you can certainly change content within a page, but we try not to change the page address too much. If you do need to change a page URL, if the title of a program is changing, for instance, or if you need to adjust menus and how pages appear within the site navigation, it's best to get started by reaching out to CPA and making sure that they can help you with that process. The last thing that's come up is a question about adding a calendar. So this is something I think folks like to put within their pages. This is actually another embed that comes from another service and not something that Drupal does natively. You can get started by contacting events at YU.edu, and then they'll help you get set up with the 25 Live system. So the same system that you use to submit your events can give us something that can go on the website. So that's it. We didn't have a ton more. We didn't want to overload with lots of do's and don'ts here. We don't want to put too many hurdles in your way. So what we can do here is take any other questions that you've got for editing in general, or any specifics that you've encountered here. Hopefully our goal was to make sure everybody has a good baseline, a good starting point to get started. So we didn't want to overwhelm, but if obviously if there's anything we've skipped over too quickly or anything else that you've thought of, happy to review that now. We have a few minutes here.
I do have an answer concerning the dimensions for the slideshow photo. It looks like the photo should be 1800 by 635. Hope that helps.
Great. You want to type that in there?
Yeah, we'll add that to the deck too, so that info is in there when we share this with everybody. If there are no more questions, then thank you all for sticking around. Oh, there's one more that just came in.
It there any way to copy formatting, like highlighting with the paintbrush? Yes, you can copy formatting within Drupal. That's a great way to go. If you know that within a certain page you have the formatting you need and you want to copy that into another page, you can have the edit form open for both of those pages and copy from one to the other, and then replace the text there. I don't know if there's a paintbrush style copy tool within the WYSIWYG editor to copy styles specifically, though. I don't think there is. Do you know if there's a?
Not that I know.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, your best way to go is going to be to copy directly from one editor into the other. That does allow you to copy the styles from one place to the next.
Great. Well, we will stay on the line until 11 if any other questions come up. But feel free to drop off if we're done with our presentation. You can send further questions to Vicki, and she'll either answer them directly or pass them on to us. And we will share out the slideshow that we presented today, as well as a recording of this session by tomorrow morning.
Thanks everybody.